Level up, level up, level up, everybody. It's your boy, JX Phantom, coming at you with another live Talk 1000 podcast. Now, I just want to say this first off. A lot of you people, your lives are in danger. A lot of your lives are in danger. There's somebody out there after you. There's somebody out there plotting. There's somebody out there scheming. Somebody that you wronged. Somebody that you miscalculated. Somebody you underestimated. Somebody you picked on and abused and shut out and isolated. Somebody that you smeared. A spiritual person who was once a good guy that you hurt deeply. That person has become something far beyond anything you could imagine in your entire life. And that person right now is sitting in his home with enough guns to declare war on a small country, ready to lock and load, gathering up ammo over time, studying you, studying where you live, finding ways to end your life the way you ended his, but in a different way. Because when that person ends your life, it's out for blood. We're going to talk today about people who are being mentally abused in an era where it's supposed to be okay to not be okay. We're going to talk about how society is responsible for the mass shootings and the random killings and the cop killings and everything that the government's getting away with, everything that the law enforcement is getting away with when it comes to racism. Because we already talked about how Hollywood creates the trends that allow people to have the mind state that they do. We already talked about how the world doesn't care. And now we're going to get into the end result of what's happening to everyone, including your kids, everyone, friends, family alike, the murders, the shootings, the wild purge type shit that's going on based on this idea that you should not care. Let's get into it. Now, I mentioned before that there are two types of people in the world. You got leaders and you got followers. I mentioned before that at least 60 to 70% of people in this country alone are followers. But I kind of miscalculated, so let me get into something a little bit extra about that. You got three types of people, and the third type of person I'm talking about hardly falls into either or category because that would require you having to have a human conscience. We're going to talk about no longer the leaders or the followers. We're going to talk about the in-betweeners. We're going to talk about agents. Now, when I say agents, I don't mean the type of movie stuff you hear about, like when you talk about the CIA or you talk about the FBI, agents following people around. That's not the type of agent we are mentioning. Matter of fact, let's get into what an agent is, because in order for you to understand my knowledge, in order for you to understand my wisdom, in order for you to understand the direction that I am trying to put you in mentally and spiritually, what I'm trying to give you, you have to know first the definition of some of these things are not locked into the inside box that your teachers and everybody else taught you. Let's get into this. I'm going to show you this right now. Now, let me tell you, this is an agent. An agent is a person who acts on behalf of another person or group. Do you know what that means? This means that you have people out here, and you don't have to be a member of any official society or political order. You don't have to be a CIA member or an FBI, anything. You can be an agent, and it could just be you being involved with multiple groups of people in your own neighborhood who have no real power anyway, just their power of words. And this is a real key, a big factor. When I talk about knowledge is power, when I tell people knowledge is power, I absolutely mean it, including with that definition. An agent doesn't have to be somebody who's getting paid to work for anybody. An agent could just be a random dude who's getting a bunch of girls, who's got a bunch of girls around him, and they're asking him to do something against another person or another group of people, and they are becoming agents, which means they're spying on that person, they're tracking that person, they're trying to figure out what makes that person tick. You understand where I'm coming from? An agent is a person that does all of these things and doesn't have to work for anything official. You got leaders, you got followers, and you got agents. And when you got agents, you got people most times in this world today in Gen Z who are out to see you completely destroyed. Especially if they know that you suffer from something, especially if they know that you are vulnerable emotionally, if you are vulnerable spiritually. The sad thing about society is, instead of taking responsibility for the reason why people are dying, for taking responsibility for the reason why your kids are getting shot up and everything, they take pride in the idea of this person is putting his heart out there and letting you know he has a problem. Accept him for who he is, because there is going to come a time where you are going to see what the problem is, and you may not understand that he might be suffering from something that is beyond his control. So this is why people come and reach out to other people who may not understand them or may disrespect them in their community, because a lot of times, like even when you watch the Joker movie, when he was laughing on the bus and they couldn't understand him and he had to pass a note explaining his mental illness, and they had to be quiet, because it's like, what kind of human being could you possibly be if you weren't, if you knew this information and you continued to do what you did and hurt this individual? And this is these people who are creating these mass killings, these people who are shooting other people and shooting your children, where your children aren't coming home, where carnivals are getting shot up and everything else. The reason is because when you look at the history of a lot of the people that are causing the shootings, they had a mental illness. We need to be treating people who suffer from mental illness like everyday society people, because sometimes the way that we treat them will definitely affect how they feel about themselves, how they view the world, how they view society, how they view a sense of trust, how they view a sense of understanding. And if we continue to judge these people and treat these people as such on a negative level, we cannot expect these people to think on a more positive level. When you treat someone negative, you can't put a battery on the negative side when it's a plus, and a plus when it's a negative. It doesn't work. That is common sense, and it's also the law of nature when you look at it from a whole point of view. When you are treating people who suffer from mental illness, or when you are even just treating emotionally or spiritually inclined people with the vulnerability that they have, as if you could just trash them and destroy them and nothing's going to happen, this is the kind of thing that you will have to deal with. You cannot complain, you cannot, because the last thing you did was help. You all have to realize in society, when you look at handicapped people, when you look at people in wheelchairs, the first thing you do is you feel sorry for them. When you look at a cancer patient, the first thing you do is feel sorry for them. Doesn't matter what the situation is. When you look at somebody who can't help the situation that they're in or are born with a situation, you stand by those people. So why is it when you see someone who's suffering from an illness that they were born with, you would choose to side over the people that want to destroy him? So instead of standing up for the people who are protesting against the people who are just trying to destroy our society, you want to protest against the protesters who are doing for the better good. And this is where we have a situation, a problem, because the people who need to be heard are not getting heard. The people who deserve to be listened to and understood do not get listened to. And you spend all of your time telling people you don't have the time to listen to them. Go get therapy, go get this and that. You want people, especially those who are suffering from mental illness in poverty-stricken communities who can't afford that, who don't have health care, who don't have those benefits, to go try to pay for somebody who's going to charge hundreds of dollars an hour. who don't even understand that person's specific situation, because these doctors don't even pitch you with anybody who really understands what you've been through. A lot of times these medical people, these doctors, these psychiatrists are not really for you. They are there asking routine questions half the time. Basic questions. How do you feel today? Do you feel like harming yourself today? Just basic routine college level questions they were taught to be. And I know this because I dealt with them personally. They don't actually care. They're there to figure out what the possible slightest diagnosis is, dope you up with a medication, tell you to take medication, and if you are a person who's going through something that they're not hearing, they dope you up with a medication. They know goddamn well that that medication is going to make you worse than what you actually were. You might have been a normal person going through something that didn't nobody want to hear. They take you through a therapist, dope you up with something, and I know that happened because I almost died from a specific medication. This is why I don't take them. I don't believe in them. I had to deal with these things. You have to understand, you got to listen to the people that actually experienced it. You can't listen to what other people are saying about somebody. This person's crazy. This person's this and that and the other thing. Stay away from that person. Don't listen to that person. And then go on the news and see what's going on with these mass killings and seeing that these people suffer from bipolar disorder and other mental illnesses, and not looking at the tracks and realizing, oh, we should have helped that person before all these people died. We should have helped that person. Because let me tell you something. I personally suffer from that shit. I have mental illness. I have bipolar disorder. I'm not a coward. I'm a man, and I am who I am. If you cannot accept me for who I am as a person, it says more about you than it does about me. People, you have to understand. You have to stop letting people depict and deflect their insecurities back onto you because they're afraid to expose the truth that's within them. They have to live with that misery. You don't have to live with that. There are a lot of people who suffer from your illness who did not wake up today. There are a lot of people who couldn't hack it today. There are a lot of people who just did not have the lion's courage to stand up and face the world that's against them every single day. When people look at me in the town of LaGrange and ask me why I come back and tell me I'm a fool to come back, on my deathbed when I die, they're going to realize the hero I was. I am basically like the Rosa Parks of that community. You want to throw me to the back? I'm not going. I'm not going. I have a right. This is earth. This ain't your earth. I don't care who you are. This is God's world. And we all have a right to be on it. I don't care who paid for what. This is God's world, not yours. Y'all have to understand. Stop letting these people depict and deflect who you really are. They're just mad because you are not a quiet person. They're just mad because you're telling the absolute truth right directly in their face, all about they self. You want to pick on people with mental illness? Then you're going to deal with those consequences. You're going to deal with the mass killings. You're going to deal with the carnival shootings. You're going to deal with the Eric Harrises and Dylan Klebos, who all suffered from bipolar. You got to do your studies. Be smarter than that, and this won't happen. You want to make America great again, then stand up for these people. Stop standing. I understand standing up for gays. Don't get me wrong. I understand that whole gay movement, but I also did my studies on that. I also know there was a lot of propaganda that sparked this whole gay, because in the 90s, nobody cared about gay people. We did not judge gay people. In the 80s, grown men who were rock stars wore makeup. We never said nothing about it. Nobody ever cared. Gay people who felt a certain way about themselves created a propaganda to make you aware that gay and transgender exists, and now you're in a situation that you put yourself in where everything is over-trended. Every movie has to have gay people kissing. Every movie has to have a transsexual. Everybody's got to argue about, are transgender women really women? And let me tell you something. If you can't get pregnant, if you can't have a period, then you are not a transgender. You're not an actual woman. You just identify as one. We have to live in reality, y'all. I don't understand how the people who are truth-giving, you got to destroy. We're the ones trying to save your kids from the BS that the media is trying to tell them. We are the people who saw the last of the realities of what was really going on before the internet created so much propaganda and misinformation. Jussie Smollett was the one who destroyed the entire movement that the gay people stood on, and just, had people say, okay, we got to give these guys their rights.
Former Empire actor Jussie Smollett is appealing his conviction for staging a hate crime attack in 2019, and now the men he allegedly hired to attack him are telling their story. Smollett publicly claimed that two white supremacists assaulted him near his apartment in Chicago. The former actor described it as a racist and homophobic attack, causing media-driven outrage across the country. Prosecutors accused Smollett of orchestrating the attack and then lying to police about it. Fast forward to December of 2021, and Smollett would be convicted of 5 felony counts of disorderly conduct. Last year, he was sentenced to 150 days in the county jail, but only served 6 days pending his appeal. Now, in the midst of that appellate process, brothers Bola and Ola Osundario spoke exclusively to Fox Nation about the case. And here's a snippet from that interview where they actually recreate the controversial attack.
We started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey, aren't you that Empire? Empire? It's MAGA country. Yeah. And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him. I held the blow because I didn't want to hurt him, of course. So I made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. That was very important for him because he said, hey, don't just beat my make it look like I'm fighting back and whatnot.
But how dare you sit up there and treat people who weren't born gay, who didn't suffer from that, didn't ask for that, and simply chose that as if they have more rights to be stood up for and stuck up for than people who were born with a mental illness that they didn't ask God for. You people have to wake up, and I'm not saying this to insult you. I'm not saying this to tell you like, yo, you gotta be a better person, you gotta do this and put a finger in your face. But I'm tired. The people around me who are suffering from this are tired of never being heard, never being spoken to. I understand. I don't condone the killings. I'm a preface that. I don't condone the killings, but I understand what they were going through. I get it. I done had situations myself when I was in the school. I was picked on so much as a child. I had my own thoughts. I had my own ways. But I was strong enough I fight it. You gotta fight. I'm telling them to fight, but I'm telling you to help them be strong, because what y'all doing to these people is not helping them, and it's definitely not helping your generation with all of these killings. Let me tell y'all something. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, them dudes revolutionized, and I told people many years when it first started, when Columbine happened, I told people as a person, as a sufferer of bipolar back then, who was always picked on and ridiculed and judged and felt powerless, I told people when that happened, these people were going to be sought as heroes, and there's going to be more of that to come. And look at everybody said I was crazy, motherfuckers want to put me in the hospital, but I said it, and I was right. Look where we at. Don't tell me I didn't know what was going on then, and I don't know what's going on now with something that I suffer from, and I'm personally involved in this movement. Don't let these people, I don't care if it's your community, I don't care if it's within your work environment. Stop letting these people try to dictate who you are. Stop letting these people spread false rumors about you and then turning around getting all in your feelings. Just stand up for yourself, man. Let me explain something to you. In my personal situation, yes, it is racism. I'm going to tell you a story that happened 2 weeks ago right now. Now, 2 weeks ago, I had a situation where I was, spitting some fire, and I was practicing some stuff on my laptop. I happened to be in front of a restaurant. The police came, and whenever somebody made false calls about me, when people would make false calls about me, these kids and these people would be in the town pulling out their cell phones, ready to do camera footage, shadows this, because everybody knows who I am in the town, and they pretend like they don't, but I've already been told by multiple people. Everybody knows who I am. Every school knows who I am. Every workplace knows who I am. They act like they don't, but I've been told already, right? So these people are pulling out their cameras on me while these cops are speaking to me, and I point at them, I say, don't film me, that's illegal, because I'm under the impression that filming anybody without their permission is illegal, because every time they did something wrong to me in the town, every time they smear campaign me, every time they found a way to get, conspire against me, and I would go grab some footage to show the situations and other situations that were going on in the town, they would call the police, and the police would come at me right away, waiting to arrest me asking for my pictures and everything else. But when they were trying to take pictures of me, they tried to stop me and try to arrest me. So I told the police in front of their face that night, why is it every time I'm trying to get proof of what they doing to me, you try to consequence me when they call the police because I'm taking pictures, but they take pictures of me talking to you so that they can go spread it around on Snapchat and make it look like I'm doing something wrong, and you're okay with that. People, you have to understand that not only does it's not even just about white privilege, because if you're not black, you will never experience it. If you don't hang around enough black people, common sense, you will never experience it. You cannot tell us what our lives are. You cannot tell us what we experience is not real. You can't tell anybody who's going through smear campaigns, who's going through gang stalking and targeting, that what they're experiencing is not real until you can prove it's not real. There are witnesses out here who've seen what I personally went through. So I know goddamn well that this shit exists, just as well as those few know that it exists. But are they going to go tell people? No, because now they know that multiple groups of people are in on that shit. The cops could be in on that shit, and they can't stand in their own power because they don't have that type of power. I do. If you can't, don't send a boy to do a man's job. You know what I'm saying? I'm a man. I'm the only person telling y'all what it really is. These people around you are agents. And like I said, when you look that definition up, agent doesn't mean you're working for the FBI. It doesn't necessarily mean you're working for the CIA. That's movie shit. Agent, again, a person who acts on the behalf of one person or two people or multiple groups of people. It doesn't mean that you're getting paid for it. It means you're doing it because you want to. These people are doing what they're doing to you because they want to. 9 times out of 10, you got potential or you got something special, but you're suffering from a certain type of vulnerability, a weakness that they see or what they think is a weakness that they see, and they're trying to poke at that when you were only trying to raise awareness of you and people like you and stand up for you and people like you. They misunderstood it as you trying to get people to feel sorry for you. Their brains are working on another level because their brains are low, because they are low vibrational frequency. If you don't know what low vibrational frequency is, if that went over your head, it is what it is. Look it up. You can always Google it. But if you are a low vibrational frequency person, then you are a follower. You are following what the other person said. The leader is never going to go out of his way to walk up on you and try to convince you and do all of this extra work. The leader is going to go out there and not only, like what I'm doing is I'm sharing this shit with you and the people. Anybody who sees this is collecting that information. Just like what y'all do on TikTok. TikTok has an algorithm. So what you say and what you post is going to strictly go out to the people that you are posting out to, the FYP, the For Your page. People, understand something. Wake the hell up. Don't stop letting these people dictate who you are. And that's where I'm gonna leave it at right now. But with the pictures you all just saw and all of that, those are pictures. This is what they did to me. This is what they've been doing for a long time, and not even just in Snap, just in a lot of places. One guy deleted a message. I don't know how I should have snapshotted. I had people, tell me, oh, the town can't wait for me to kill myself. Well, yeah, I know that because I heard a whole plot just a couple of weeks ago around the same time that the smear campaigns were happening. Well, so coincidentally, I was working on new music. As soon as I announced, and this has happened every time, so I know these people's pattern. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You might be doing something. You might be on to something. And every time you try to move forward with it, they come out with this shit, right? Yeah. So what they're trying to do is a last ditch effort to destroy your confidence in what you're doing because they're threatened. This is common sense. Only the people who have been bullied long enough can see it. Only the people who have been smeared long enough can see it. Only the people who have been hurt by multiple groups of people that they thought loved them could see this after a certain period of time. Do not be naive. We are the people trying to teach you this before you get hurt in your time in life. This is going to happen to everybody. Everybody's day comes. The shit that people did to me personally, I'm not sweating no more. That day is coming for them. They're going to experience at least some of it firsthand, and they're going to think about my face. That's what's going to haunt them. Some of them going to end up poor. Some of them are going to get into some shit. Some of them are going to be smear campaigned over time. and they don't know their futures. They can sit there and laugh all they want to, but they're not psychics. God didn't get in that ability. Nobody can predict the future. You can try to control it all you want to. You can't control how life happens. Life's gonna kick you in the ass every fucking time, and the older you get, the worse that shit get. Life is hard, but I'll be damned to let motherfuckers try to come around and destroy parts of my life and then turn around and tell me it's hard. I'll be damned for somebody to gaslight me and try to treat me a certain way and get a reaction out of me and then turn around and tell me I'm an emotional person when they be just as pissed off. I'll be damned if somebody tells me I can't express myself when I am upset. The second that because you know I suffer from a mental illness, you're gonna mistake the fact of my mental illness for the fact that I'm doing what anybody would do in that situation when they are upset. That is ridiculous. So that's how they use your mental illness or whatever you're going through against you. The second they do something to you and you react a certain way or defend yourself a certain way that puts fear in people, they run around and they tell people that you're crazy because people know that you suffer from it. Listen, don't be ashamed of who you are. Stop feeling ashamed. Stop letting imperfect human beings that God created, because they are the person that created you, the thing that created you is on a higher level than you. You are suffering through this for a reason. Now I suggest y'all go out there, take this knowledge, spread it to other people. I don't care if you steal the whole goddamn thing. I don't care if you memorize this shit quote by quote. This shit is to be shared. It is not to be hidden. All right, y'all. I want to see you be healthy. I want to see you be tall and rise. And no matter how many times you get knocked down, keep getting up, because it's going to strike them fearfully. More and more and more, they're going to fear you, bro. More and more and more. And they're going to keep getting, it's going to get stronger. They're going to get you. Keep standing on your shit till you die, bro, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to have to suffer the consequences of everything they did to you and other people around you. Because let me tell you something, if a motherfucker goes out there and tells you how good it felt to destroy somebody else's life, and that's your friend, you better goddamn well make some mental notes of that shit for your own future reference. If it felt good to destroy one good person, they're going to destroy you as a good person if you're a good person. Because just like good minds think alike, horrible minds think alike. Level up. It's your boy Goth MC.